failed brakes. The Fat Controller came to see his engines in the sheds one morning. He had some important news.
"Today will be a busy day," he said, "and I want all of you to do your jobs as quickly as possible," he said. "Arthur, you may do one of your favourite jobs, working at the fishing village. And Mushi, I need you to take some more passengers from Sodor to the mainland," he said. "And Ryan, I need you to take some heavy freight from Brandon Docks to Alsborough Harbour," he said. "Yes, sir," said the 3 engines. "Good," he said. "I'll be expecting you all to work hard as possible," he said, and he walked away. Soon Ryan was beginning to feel enthusiastic. The turntable turned towards him, and he steamed out of the shed. Then, whilst departing from the shed, he was still leaving a strange noise at the shed. At the main line, Bertram was busy arranging shunting Mushi's coaches into the same line. But then there was trouble. Ryan was racing down the line too fast, and whilst Bertram was shunting his trucks, Ryan didn't have time to stop, and he bumped his trucks and Bertram so hard. "Ow!" went Bertram. "That hurt." "Sorry," said Ryan. I'm just eager to get this started," he said. "Well, you be careful," said Bertram. "That really hurt," he shouted. Then he could hear a noise. "Are your brakes failing?" he said. "You'll need to go to the works." "No, thank you," snapped Ryan. "I'll be fine. Just a little touch, that's all." And he puffed away. Moments after, Ryan was steaming into the docks as quickly as possible, but he couldn't stop. Suddenly there was trouble. One of his trucks came derailed, and it had stopped Ryan just in time. "Whoa," said his driver. I think one of our trucks has come derailed." Then Ryan spotted the derailed truck from behind. "Oh dear," said Ryan. "Are your brakes failing?" asked the dock manager. "I'm afraid you'll need to check them." "No thank you," said Ryan. "I'll be all right." When the last truck was back on the rails, Ryan crept slowly. Soon, all of his cargo was delivered. When his cargo was finally delivered, Ryan was ready to go, and he steamed away. Meanwhile, back at the sheds, the 2 engines, Mushi and Arthur, had just finished their jobs. They were having a private discussion about Ryan. "His brake seems to be failing. He needs to go to the works, but he said he doesn't need to," said Bertram. What's a scaredy cat," said Arthur. "He should have his brakes mended, or worse. I am concerned for him now that you've come to mention it," said Mushi. "I don't want him coming off the rails and injuring himself," he said Mushi cautiously. "Well," said Arthur, I'd better go and check into it. The manager has just assigned me to help him on the way to Wellsworth Station. And so I'll see you all later," said Arthur. "Good luck, Arthur," Mushi and Bertram said, and Arthur steamed away. Meanwhile, however, Ryan was being cocky, racing down the line without his brakes being checked or mended. When he approached Welshworth Station, he saw Arthur and bumped into him. That had been able to stop Ryan just in time. Watch where you're going, shouted Ryan to Arthur. You need to watch your mouth, said Arthur. I've been assigned to help you. You be the back engine, and I'll pull this goods train. Deal? Deal, said Ryan. Hang on a sec, he said. Nobody assigned you for any job like this, he said. Why can't Thomas or Edward do this job, he said. Edward is having an overhaul at Crowburn's Gate and won't be back until next month, said Arthur, and Thomas is still in his branch line. All right, groaned Ryan, and the two engines set to work. At last, the goods train was online. Arthur was coupled to the front, and Ryan was now the back engine. The goods train was online, and the two were on their way. Ryan soon began to feel bored, but soon Arthur was beginning to enjoy this. They approached the hill, and still they were struggling for lost time. Whilst they were approaching the top of the hill, both Ryan and Arthur began to argue. Oh look, said Ryan, isn't that the hill Arthur had his first crash at the level crossing? He said. Then Arthur grumbled. Oh look, he said, this must be the construction yard Ryan nearly blew up. Ryan almost got blown up by Thomas, he said, with them dynamite trucks he lit up by accident, he said, or was it on purpose? The drivers and firemen all had enough. Soon, then there was trouble. Arthur began to feel weak, and the same went for Ryan. Come on, Ryan, groaned Arthur. Can't you pull any faster? I can't. Can't you push any faster? Any harder? I can't, cried Ryan. I'm trying. But then there was trouble. The coupling snapped between Arthur and the goods train, and Ryan went racing down. Help! Cried Ryan. He tried to plough his brakes, but there was a clang and a cling. Ryan broke his brakes. Unfortunately, the Sodor suspension bridge wasn't secure because one of its pieces were lost. Ryan didn't know this until too late. Then the bridge snapped, and Ryan and the trucks came down below. The bridge was destroyed, and Ryan looked damaged. Just then, Arthur puffed in and was very surprised. I hope you're all right, he said, but unfortunately, Ryan's paint was scratched, and he couldn't move at all. So Arthur's driver and fireman telephoned for help. After Ryan was lifted out of the ditch at the Sodor suspension bridge by Rocky with Stepney, Ryan was already lifted on a flatbed truck being pulled to crew by James. When the Fat Controller found out, he was very disappointed. I am disappointed in you, Ryan, he said. You could have told me about your brakes needed repairs, and now it's too late, he said. It's not my fault, sir, said Ryan. Arthur was telling jokes that I waste your money, and after me going for repairs, he said. Then Arthur gulped. I'm sorry, sir, he said. I was only joking. I know you were having banter with Ryan, said the Fat Controller, but engines that need proper repairs is a serious matter, which is not to be laughed at, he said. Then Arthur understood. Then the Fat Controller turned his attention to Ryan. You were very brave, considering I am disappointed in your behaviour today, he said. But although I know you was worried if you told me about your brakes, you would let me down by wasting my money, he said. But I am rich, you see, he said, which is why I'm sending you to Crewe, he said. You'll be given a new shape and some proper brakes, and you'll feel like a different engine, he said. Plus, we are going to miss you. Thank you, sir, said Ryan. What about my passengers? Moosey and Stanley will take care of your branch line while you're away, he said. But now you must go. Crewe awaits you, he said. With that, the two engines whistled their goodbyes and farewells to Ryan, and Ryan on the flatbed truck was now being pulled by James, ready to be taken to the works at Crewe. Both Stepney and Arthur tooted goodbye as James from on top of the Action Canyon was already pulling Ryan on top of the flatbed truck to Crewe. With that, when the two were off, they disappeared into the sunset.